Hello everyone, I am Gurudat. This is the second video of professional ethics. In this video, we will be discussing about admission, enrollment, and rights of advocates and bar councils. In the first video, we had studied the historical perspectives of legal development in India, the development of legal profession in India. So the first question which comes in our mind, that who is an advocate? We are often confused with the word lawyer, advocate. So, in Advocates Act, an advocate has been defined as somebody enrolled under the provision of Advocates Act. Okay, so anybody enrolled under the provision of Advocates Act is an advocate as per the Advocates Act 1961. The Chapter 3 of the Advocates Act make provision for the admission and enrollment of the advocates. If a person fulfills the conditions required for admission as an advocate, he may be enrolled as an advocate by the State Bar Council. So it is the State Bar Council which admits us as an advocate, not by the BCI. BCI may be the highest governing body, the Bar Council of India may be the highest governing body in the country, but admission into the uh, uh, state role is done by State Bar Council, and after the admission in the state role, we become advocate. So one thing should be very clear, that anybody who has studied may call himself a lawyer, but an advocate is only those persons who have been enrolled under provisions of Advocates Act 1961. The conditions to be fulfilled for being enrolled as an advocate have been stated in section 24 of the Advocates Act. You also must remember these sections. These sections are very important for exam point of view. Now, qualification for admission and enrollment as an advocate. A person should be qualified to be admitted as an advocate on the state roll if he fulfills the following condition. So, the first condition is he should be citizen of India, that only Indian citizens can be admitted as an advocate under Advocates Act. But there is also one proviso which says that a national of any other country may be admitted as an advocate. Sorry, a national of any other country may be admitted as an advocate on a state roll if citizens of India duly qualified are permitted to practice law in that other country. For example, there's a country called, for example, just take the example of Nepal. If Nepal permits Indian citizens who are qualified to practice in Nepal, if it allows Indian citizen to practice in Nepal, then India may also allow Nepali citizen to practice in India if they are qualified. So if they are qualified, then only. So it's a arrangement in which if some other country allows the citizens of our country to practice in that country, then we will also allow citizens of that country to practice in our country. Then the minimum age limit, he has completed the age of 21 years. So that is the minimum age to be admitted in state roll of advocates. Then comes, he has obtained degree in law. So a law degree is must to be admitted as an advocate. Earlier, even some year of practice, you were allowed to be admitted as an advocate. But after the Advocates Act came into force in 1961, only persons who are qualified, who have studied law, they can only be admitted as advocate. He fulfills such other conditions as may be specified in the rules made by the State Bar Council under this chapter. So there may be some other rules which State Bar Council may also make. So State Bar Councils are also empowered to give specific rules for enrollment of advocates. Plus, he has paid in respect of enrollment stamp duty, if any, chargeable under the Indian Stamps Act 1899, and prescribed whatever the enrollment fee, you have to pay that enrollment fee. For example, in Delhi, you have to pay approximately 12 to 13,000 as an enrollment fee and other types of fee to be admitted as advocate. Similarly, in UP, the amount may be different. In Rajasthan, amount may be different. So every state bar council have their own amount which you have to pay to be enrolled as an advocate in that state. Then the question comes that what can be the grounds where a person can be disqualified from being enrolled as an advocate. So section 24A gives certain ground on the basis of which a person can be disqualified from being an advocate. So the first ground is if he is convicted of an offense involving moral turpitude. So if you are involved in some offense which involves moral turpitude, then you may also be disqualified. The question comes, what is moral turpitude? So different bar councils on the basis of facts of each case have decided on their own basis. For example, in certain cases, if you are involved in two marriages, you have done bigamy, then it has been held as an offense of involving moral aptitude, and you have been disqualified from being an advocate. It has happened in UP also, in Rajasthan also. Similarly, in Bihar, if you are involved, if you are convicted under Dowry Prohibition Act, then also you can be disqualified as an advocate. Second is if he is convicted of an offence under the provisions of the Untouchability Offences Act 1955. Now this Untouchability Offences Act is known as Scheduled Caste and Scheduled Tribe Prevention of Atrocities Act. So the name has been changed. So this, if you are convicted of this under this act, then also you will be disqualified from being an advocate. Third is if he is dismissed or removed from employment or office under the state on any charge involving moral turpitude. Again, if you are involved in corruption charges and you have been dismissed from state government service or national or central government service, then also you will not be able to be an advocate, and you will be disqualified from an advocate. Provided that the disqualification for enrollment as aforesaid shall cease to have effect after a period of 2 years after has elapsed since the release or dismissal of, as the case may be, for the removal. So it basically says that it's a proviso says that if 2 years have passed since the conviction, then you may again be enrolled as an advocate. So it is not a permanent disqualification. You can be again enrolled as an advocate after 2 years if you are convicted of these offences. And the subsection second says that nothing contained in subsection 1 shall apply to a person who have been found guilty is dealt under the provisions of Probation of Offenders Act 1958. So under Probation of Offenders Act, certain convicted persons are given a chance to improve and are not jailed. For example, if some small offence have happened and the punishment is only of 2 years imprisonment, then under the Probation of Offenders Act, that person may be released on probation and his conduct will be seen outside the jail, and then only if his conduct is good, then he will be released permanently. If his conduct is bad, then he'll be again jailed. So this, if you are convicted of some offence and released under Probation of Offenders Act, then also this subsection 1, that is these subsections, will not apply to you. Rights of an advocate. This is a very important question which always comes in your exam. So advocates are the only recognized class of person entitled to practice law. Section 29. There are 3 sections related to rights of advocate, and you must remember all these 3 sections. The first section is section 29. Section 29 says that advocates to be the only recognized class of person entitled to practice law, subject to the provisions of this act and any rules made thereunder. There shall, as from the appointed date, be only one class of persons entitled to practice the profession of law, namely advocates. So only advocates can practice law and no other person can practice law. Similarly, Article 30 says, subject to provisions of this act, every advocate whose name is entered in the state roll shall be entitled as of right to practice throughout the territories to which this act extends, in all courts including the Supreme Court, before any tribunal or person legally authorized to take evidence, before any other authority or persons before whom such advocate is by or under any law for the time being in force entitled to practice. So one question which often people ask is that, can an advocate enrolled in Delhi go and practice in Allahabad High Court? Then yes, if you are enrolled in any bar council, in any state bar council, then you are entitled to practice in all the courts of India, including the Supreme Court, before any tribunal or any person legally authorized to take evidence, or before any authority. So once you are enrolled, you can practice everywhere. Everywhere. There is no bar. Earlier there were some bars, but now there is no bar. Then section 33, advocates alone entitled to practice, except as otherwise provided in this act or any other law for the time being in force, no person shall, on or after the appointed date, be entitled to practice in any court or before any authority or person unless he is enrolled as an advocate under this act. So, if you are not enrolled as an advocate, you will not be allowed to practice in any court. So if some layman goes and start arguing for some other person, then court will stop him. Court will say that please go and have call an advocate to represent your case. No, your friend can't represent the case. Similarly, it was held in this case, Harishankar Rastogi versus Girdhari Sharma. In this case, Supreme Court held that a private person who is not an advocate has no right to barge into court and claim to argue for a party. So, however, good friend or anybody if you have acquittance, some of your acquittance, he cannot represent you in the court of law. Only and only advocates can present you in the court of law. There's one more right to preeminence, which is given in section 23. It means right to be heard before the other advocate is heard. The section 23 provides an order in which the right of preeminence is to be followed. So right is preeminence if there are two parties, the prosecution and the defense. So if the right to preeminence says that as per this order, these advocates have the right to be heard first. So if there's ASG, Attorney General of India, and Solicitor General of India, then Attorney General of India have right to be heard first. Then only Solicitor General of India can speak. Similarly, if there is Advocate General of State and some other advocate, then Advocate General of India will be the first one to be heard. He has the right to be heard first. The order is this, which is given in section 23. Attorney General of India, then Solicitor General of India, then Additional Solicitor General, then Second Additional Solicitor General, then Advocate General of State, then Senior Advocate, then Other Advocate. I hope you know the meaning and post of Attorney General. Attorney General is the highest advocate of India. He advises government on legal matters. Solicitor General of India is the government advocate, highest government advocate who represent government in the court of law. Then comes Additional Solicitor General. Then Advocate General of State is the highest advocate of the state who present state government in the state. Then comes Senior Advocate, and then comes Other Advocates. We have already seen this case. Conditions for right to practice. There are certain conditions which have been given, which Bar Council have made under the Chapter 3 of Bar Council of India rules, which has to be followed while practicing in the court of law. Every advocate shall be under obligation to see that his name appears in the roll of state within whose jurisdiction he ordinarily practices. So, if you are practicing in India, for example, you are practicing in Uttar Pradesh, then you should make sure that in the Uttar Pradesh State Bar Council enrollment roll, in the roll list of advocates, your name appears. It is your responsibility to make sure that your name appears in the state bar roll. An advocate shall not enter into partnership of any other arrangement for sharing remuneration with any person or legal practitioner who is not an advocate. So advocate can only enter into partnership with an advocate, and entering into partnership with any other person. For example, sometimes few advocates indulge in a practice that if some person passes on the case to him, he'll pay some amount to him as a commission. So this kind of partnership is absolutely wrong, and it can be a ground for disqualification. So this commission system, which is quite prevalent, unfortunately quite prevalent in India, is absolutely flawed, and it can be a ground of disqualification. Third, every advocate shall keep informed the Bar Council on the roll of which his name stands and for every change in its address. You should keep updated the Bar Council about your name and your address. The council or the state council can call upon an advocate to furnish the name of the state council on the roll of which his name is entered or call for other particulars. Quite simple. An advocate who voluntarily suspends his practice for any reason whatsoever shall intimate by registered post to the state bar council. It is the responsibility of advocate to intimate the state bar council. Some advocates start businesses and they forget to inform the state bar council, but it is the responsibility of advocate that they must inform the state bar council. Sixth, an advocate whose name has been removed by order of the Supreme Court or a High Court or Bar Council, as the case may be, shall not be entitled to practice the profession of law either before the court or before the authorities mentioned under the section 30 of the Act or in the chambers or the otherwise. Seventh, an officer after his retirement or otherwise ceasing to be serviced shall not practice for a period of 2 years in the area in which he exercised jurisdiction for a period of 3 years before his retirement or otherwise ceasing to be in service. So, if you are a judicial officer in Uttar Pradesh and you were posted in Lucknow for 3 years, then you will not be allowed to practice in Lucknow after leaving your job or after retiring for at least 2 years. Similarly, if you are a judge of a tribunal and you held that post for 3 years, then you left the job or you retired and started practicing in the same tribunal, then that is wrong. You cannot practice in the same tribunal for at least 2 years. After 2 years, you may practice in that court or in the tribunal, but for the period of 2 years, you can't practice. No advocate shall be entitled to practice if in the opinion of the council he is suffering from such contagious disease as makes the practice of law hazard to the health of others. The disqualification shall last for such period as the council directs. So this 8 points is also very important in current time. So if you are corona positive and you want to practice in court, then state bar council can restrict your presence in the court. It can disqualify you. This is also a ground for the healthy well-being of other fellow advocates. Thank you. In the next video, we'll further continue chapter 3.